Hey, what's up, guys and gals? Bonafide Muscler here. What is up? Good to see everyone, or people that are coming in, making sure that the light looks good and everything. Okay, so anyway, yeah, welcome to hopefully the first of many Bonafide Muscler here, right? This is a kind of a show concept that I wanted to throw out there, and it's where thrifting meets lifting. And it's just a lot of fun. It's like two of my favorite passions. I put four up here. It's really two. Two of my favorite passions meshed together in one little show, little Q&A, like some lifestyle stuff. I'm going to show you guys some thrift finds, that kind of stuff. Do me a favor. If you're tuning in right now, then hit the like button immediately, right? And put a comment in the chat. And that comment can actually be a question, right? So hit the like button, put a comment, and it could even be a question. It's all good. So yes, what do you think of the show concept, the Bonafide Muscler? I mean, kind of, it's been plaguing my brain for the past, I don't know, 6 months or so now. So I was thinking about a way that I could mesh the two great things that I care about together, right? So let's talk about the thrifting side, and that is this morning I actually did make it to some garage sales. I went to around four, I want to say four or maybe three. Either way, I went to garage sales this morning. Actually, I went to four. So four garage sales, not that many, and they were kind of on polar opposites of town. Um, but anyway, yeah, we're going to be looking at some of the finds today, or all the finds. There weren't many, but I gave it my best shot. I guarded my money, I looked for all kinds of opportunities today on Facebook Marketplace. I didn't find any, but I did make offers for a lot of things. And we have our first question that came in here. I got blocked on eBay. Chances I can sneak back in. I've never been blocked on eBay. I have had top-rated seller status, reduced to above standard, even the one below that. I've had that before, and I do feel like they really throttle your listings when you obviously are in bad standing with them. So when you get blocked on eBay, my first question would be, why did you get blocked? Second question would be, you might want to hire a professional, much like Amazon, to get you unblocked on eBay, or call them and see. I think some people can get blocked on eBay for selling things that they're not supposed to sell. And then it's not that you can't sell, it's that if you try to circumvent it after a warning comes out, like, hey, we pulled the listing and you're not supposed to sell this item. And then if you try to list it in a different category and circumvent that, that can get you blocked. Other things that can get you blocked are selling fake or counterfeit goods, even if you didn't mean to and you didn't know, like, some doesn't really matter at that point. So that could be one of those things as well. So the first question is, how'd you get blocked? Because eBay doesn't just randomly block people. The second thing is, can you sneak back in? I think that word sneak, that's a tough one. Maybe you go under someone else's account, but I'm not going to tell you to do it because I don't know what to do in that scenario. I just try to always abide by eBay's rules, because I think it's a great platform to sell on. It shows your stuff to arguably millions of people, and it's yeah, they have all kinds of ways to promote your items too on eBay. So some of them I don't like so much. There's one called dynamic listing or dynamic promoted listing. I don't know. I don't like it. I tried it a couple weeks ago, and man, did it take so much money. And the dynamic thing, I swear, is just, it feels like a way that eBay can just take as much money from you as possible. That's what it felt like to me. For like an average $100 sell item, for example, like I was paying about $16 to $18 in dynamic ad rate fees, which is kind of nuts, So I started looking in Reddit feeds and all that kind of stuff about dynamic rate, and you can set your own. Obviously, I knew that, and a lot of people were just like, just set your own 5 or 7%, and it's enough to kind of boost your listings. So I did notice that when I was on dynamic ad rate, that it felt like a lot more things were selling, but I am also taking in less money, so that wasn't a fun feeling. So what do you guys think about dynamic promoted listings, whatever that thing is? It's a brand new thing that came out. I don't know when, but like, I know that I experimented with it. I didn't enjoy it very much. What do you think about that, if you know what I'm talking about? It's good to see these people in the feed. If you actually put yourself in the chat here, you're going to get a shout out. So we got Ken this 15. We have Ryan in the house. We have JB the 25th, all brave enough to put a comment in the feed. All right, so let me show you some of the things that I found today. We'll start with just a freaking banger, dude. I actually listed this thing already for $400 or something like that, and I bought it this morning for $40. So this thing is super cool. It's not something you see every single day. It is my size. So it's like not the worst case scenario if I get stuck with them, but you would never get stuck with this item. It would just be one of those, I use it till they're dead. And then when they're dead, I could still sell it for like 80 bucks, maybe $100. Yeah. And this is what it is. So 40 bucks this morning. Look at these. Yeah, this is so, oh my God. Well, you're in Texas, right? Everything's that much more badass in Texas. So these are actually Python snakeskin exotic Nokuna boots. They were 50 at a garage sale, talked it down to 40, and they were just incredible. I couldn't believe it. They're so beautiful. The undersides look pretty good. Western cowboy boots sell really, really well on eBay, obviously, but you want to really look for exotics and things like that. So a couple things that would have probably put this into the $500 range is if this was smooth Python, right? I think we're dealing with the belly here more than likely or something like that. And then if the entire shaft right here was also Python skin, those will sell for about 400 to 500 bucks, maybe even more. So yeah, if this part right here, which is just leather, if this was, and it's never going to be this material right here, but it could be smooth Python or golden Python, should I say. And if it was golden Python here all the way to the uppers, this would be a total steal for 40 bucks, probably even 100 bucks. But yeah, that was something I found this morning at a garage sale. It was the very first garage sale I went to. All garage sales this morning started at 9 a.m. I don't know why, which was great. I got an extra hour of sleep basically. But yeah, this is one of the things that I found this morning. What do you think? Give me a thumbs up, or that's pretty cool, or I would have never bought that. You should be buying this kind of stuff right here. What else? We have nothing crazy, but for $1, I popped on it. Gonna put it in the booth for around 10 to 15. It's a 70s, probably painters type Boston Red Sox hat. So, nothing just go, oh my God, like so it's so crazy. It's not like that, but these will sell for around 30 to 50 on eBay. But in my booth, we'll probably try to get 15 to 20 bucks on this right here. Pasquale in the house. We have Frank. Super cool. It's good to see you. Pasquale says, I'm lifting weights right now, bro. I was weightlifting 30 minutes ago. I did a little bit of arms, nothing crazy. I'm really not supposed to lift on my programs. I don't lift on Saturdays or Sundays, but yesterday was a really busy day with a lot of things, and I couldn't get to my tricep bicep portion of my full body workout. So that's the carryover to today. Now we got 12 people in the house. I want all 12 people. Put a comment in the feed. I don't care what it is. Put a comment in the feed right now and hit the like button, okay? We got to burn calories, so hit the like button. Okay, what else we got? This is kind of interesting from the same, not the same garage sale, but I bought something. Oh, you'll see it. Okay, so this was $1 at a garage sale. I think I could probably get 20 to 30 for this in the booth. Are you ready? It's kind of neat. Pretty cool. 2010 Metallica shirt, right? And this one is a Trillium. What is it called? Toltex. Sorry. So Toltex. It is a double stitch, so don't freak out now. But it's just a Metallica shirt. Pretty nice. Some basic artwork. I think it came from probably one of the tours in 2010 or something like that. So yeah, pretty nice. That was $1 at a garage sale. So 20 to 30 in the booth for this. Ladies size large. Not too bad. And then let's switch it up and go to thrift stores yesterday. And thrift stores yesterday, Thrifty Z and I were out and about. And at a Savers, we bought this for $14 with a 20% off coupon. So really with the tax and everything, still probably $14. But we got this. So we come across this jacket a lot, and we sell it for right around 88 or so, 88 or more. So here it is. There's nothing special, right? But a G3 Korea. It's called G3. It's Global G3 Leather Fashions Global Identity G3. We call it a G3, but basically a pretty popular jacket, actually. It's not quite a bomber. It's kind of bomberish, but not quite. It's just it's a really nice jacket. It's real beat up, so it's kind of like Indiana Jones style a little bit. It does have some shoulder padding, so this is coming from probably the 90s or something like that. But yeah, made in Korea, nothing nuts. I mean, size large. That's a perfect example of like what a roundabout $88 jacket in the booth is going to sell for, or is going to look like, something like this. So yeah, this was 14 from Savers, so 14 to 88. We'll lock in about 70 bucks or so. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty good return. You put $14 in, you get 70 bucks out. I'll take that all day. especially if it's something so quick like this. You put a tag on it and it goes. Okay, so what else we got? There's some neat things here, and then we'll get to some fitness stuff. But so I'm gonna make sure to come back to the comments and everything like that. Pasquale Avalos, where is your favorite place or way to find inventory to flip? I mean, by far it would be garage sales. Garage sales are just fun. They are just, I don't know, they're dynamic, they're fun. They keep you outside of the house, right? So I'm not sitting there like with a barcode scanner, like beep, 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 packing things, and I'm inside a drab room, for example, with fluorescent lights. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. So it's just not my kind of thing, right? So I think garage sales are cool because you're out there, you're out and about. It's very dynamic. You're interacting with people. You're negotiating, which is a great tactic to have in real life. And then it's one of the things in the past 20 years, the economy hasn't really affected it too much. I mean, yeah, there's competition out there, right? And the competition has seen social media and this and that, and just the whole thrift culture is it's an in thing right now, right? But it just seems like it's such a great opportunity still to this day, as it was 20 years ago. And so that would be my favorite way to find inventory to flip. But I think that's pretty obvious. If you watch my channel, you would see 900 videos of me going to garage sales, and that's just what I like to do. So that would be my favorite place. Frank says, are you familiar with subconscious programming? It has changed my life and continues to every day. Yeah. So if you're kind of my kind of take with subconscious programming is the way I used it in my life, right, is obviously meditation. It's probably one of the better ways, but meditation. The other one is visualizing exercises. Those are really good too. So visualizing exercises, meditation, meditating in nature, for example, doing absolute quiet time, right? Quiet retreats, quiet in nature, or going into nature with no cell phone, no agenda, no notepad, nothing, just going out in nature and just chilling for like hours on end. It's probably one of the most painful things for most people to do, but it's definitely one of those things that you can really affect your subconscious that way as well. So it's the way that people say that the working on your subconscious, the way it works out is that if you're able to tap into your subconscious, it affects your reality currently, right? So a lot of people, and this is the whole thing behind affirmations, for example, like saying affirmations in the mirror, reading it like I am rich, and you're looking at I am rich, whatever you want to do. But that's the whole thing about it, is to eventually build this thing in your head of an image of yourself already there, feeling those feelings current day. And that way you basically gravitate towards that in a much more effortless fashion in a way. So anyway, yeah. So subconscious programming is great. Obviously it's real, it's changed my life too. Right. And it continues to every day for Frank. I think the same thing. I definitely mess with my subconscious when I am on a bike ride, for example. Like I'm always consciously listening to my internal dialogue. And then I am also sometimes speaking out or reiterating certain things. And how do I say it? I'm almost reprogramming it in a way to say certain things over and over and over and over and over, even if I catch myself in a little bit of not a downward spiral, but if a thought's going like this, I always remember to like tweak it back this way, right? And why we're tweaking it back this way. And it's because the person I want to be, that kind of stuff. So that's a way I do it also, just not with my eyes closed and with, certain repetitive breaths or anything like that. Ken this 15, I found an empty Kikkoman soy sauce bottle that is a special bicentennial edition, 1976, and covered in American flags and USA. Top of the line. Top of the lid looks like Captain America shield. Super dope. That's pretty cool. Is that what you found today? What did you guys find? Did anyone go thrifting today? Did anyone go to garage sales today? And tell me your best find. Not all your finds, but your best one. Put it in the feed right now. Okay. Now we're going to get to a find from yesterday that was actually at it wasn't a Plato's Closet. It was a place called Uptown Cheapskate, which is kind of like a Plato's Closet. So it's like an upscale place to find cool things. And so we were going there because we initially went there because my girlfriend got an email. And this is the thing, like Plato's Closet, Buffalo Exchange, Pavement, Uptown Cheapskate, all these kind of places that are like that. You should get on their email lists, because we got there on an email because of an email that we got sent saying like we have a dollar bin thing going on. And obviously in my head, I'm like, that's just some gimmick crap to like purge out the crappiest inventory of all inventory. But we went there anyway, and within seconds, I was like, "I'm not this crap is crap," So, but I still walked around the store, and I stumbled upon this, and with a 20% off coupon, we walked out spending 44 for this super heavy. This can't be. I can't stress how heavy this thing is, but this is a Wilson cycle. See that right there? I do think that this is going to sell for right around 250 to 200, something like that, 200, 250. And it is a mint condition Wilson cycle, genuine leather jacket. Really nice. Obviously, this is in the actual style of like a shot perfecto or something like that. The typical biker jacket style with the off center zipper right here, right? We got the belt on the bottom. And then we have pit zips on this, which some of the some of the older ones don't have pit zips right here, but this one does. So we got pit zips in that. We have a lower back zip right here, so your lower back can breathe, and then we have the actual leather ties right there. So it's a classic biker design, right? And if you were to look at the price of this jacket with the detachable interior, because this one has the detachable insulation, it's right around 380 on the site or something like that. And I'm not even sure if it's the exact one either. It might be a totally lower grade leather. This one is so high grade and so thick, XXL. So yeah, this is a nice one. And we're going to probably list it between 250, 350, something like that. So that's a nice jacket that we found in the racks yesterday. I wish it was a little cheaper, but we bought it based on the condition and based upon doing some analysis on sizing and everything. We're like, all right, XXL, the person that's looking for an XXL on eBay is going to have like almost no choices besides maybe this one, So that's something that we found yesterday. And then here is something I found today at the same garage sale. I found a Metallica shirt. I found this, and this is pretty neat because it was marked at 20, and I was like, would you take 10? Gosh, that's such a steep negotiation. But the lady was like, sure, I'll take 10. And she came from Chicago, and she's like, that's where I used it and everything like that. So right here, we have a North Face. All right, this is a North Face parka with down insulation. Yeah, so that's why I picked it up, because the interior of this thing is down, and you can confirm the insulation. You always should, because when you're dealing with polyester insulation, at that point, a lot of things go out the window. I don't like to buy a bunch of stuff like that. I don't mess with usually polyester interior, unless it's kind of North Face and unless it might be Patagonia, maybe Arc'teryx. But there's so many crappy brands that use polyester interior. And the real polyester interior is kind of like a synthetic polyester, is called Primaloft, right? So you'll find Primaloft in brands like North Face, and you'll find it in brands like Arc'teryx, Prana. You'll find it in Patagonia, things like that. I think maybe even Cotopaxi, maybe. But you really want down. A lot of people like down. And so this is a down interior, right? It's a long coat too. I should actually specify that. This is a long coat. So it's females love that stuff. You know how females get real cold and everything. So yeah, a long coat all the way down to like mid thigh. So a good find for $10, talked off from $20 asking price. $10 for this thing. I do think it's worth about 120, 150, something like that. So I think this is going to be a good one right here. I found it this morning. Thrifty Z was sleeping. She didn't go with me. Anyway, okay, so that kind of concludes the finds. I'm looking around. There actually is something pretty cool that Thrifty Z found the other day on her own right there. You can kind of see it. That Marin, I think it's a Bolinas Ridge entry-level mountain bike, but 27-inch tires, 27.5-inch tires, disc brakes, right? And aluminum frame, no dropper post, very wide handlebars, front suspension. It's not running a single front cog or anything like that right there. It's running a triple front. But that bike right there was used one time by a child. And she found it the other day for $40. Actually, yesterday she found it for $40. $40, single use. So that one's probably worth about $250. That's made by Marin. It's a decent mountain biking brand. And yeah, I mean, it's super, super, super clean. I can't believe it. I think the person rode it one time. It's absolutely bonkers. But she bought it from one of the richest neighborhoods in town. And I think maybe I think when you get to that level of wealth, I don't know if you really care to get max dollar on things, Yeah. So, all right, let me go into the feed. Now, if you have questions, I'm looking now, okay? And I'm going to answer questions for people that actually hit the like button and put a question here. So if you're feeling shy to put a comment or a question, at least don't be shy enough to hit the like button, which is somewhere, I don't know. In your screen, it's probably here. My screen, I look at likes and they're right here. Okay. So then we'll get some fitness questions here in a second. Frank says, great finds. Frank says, nice bike. I agree. The bike is cool. Pasquale says, how saturated do you think eBay reselling is, or do you believe there's plenty of cheese for everyone? So I don't think eBay, okay, I'll correct myself. I think eBay reselling is only saturated when you dabble with commons, okay? And common things are always going to be saturated, no matter where you go, any marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, you go to Plato's Closet, like they barely buy commons, they'll buy some commons, but most of these resale shops are trying to look for cream of the crop stuff and great items, So if your question is, how saturated do I think eBay reselling is? My answer would be, I don't think it's saturated at all. It depends on what you're buying. Okay. Now, if you're buying commons, it's always going to be saturated no matter where you go. eBay, Amazon, it's all saturated for the most part because commons are found in like every thrift store. They're found in everywhere. There's just commons everywhere. And by commons, I mean like, shoes, clothing, all the common stuff. So um, I think there's plenty of cheddar for everybody when you don't deal with commons. And so when I go out and hunt for things, I'm not hunting for commons. I won't touch commons. I will touch, things that are highly marketable items. And that's what I'm looking for. And that's what the guides are all about. It's like those kind of items. So do I ever feel like things are pinched in the past 20 years? There's some times I feel it, but it's not anywhere. It could be other reasons, like maybe everyone like swamped towards FBA, for example. I remember when FBA was just a new thing, and you're doing it, and then all of a sudden you're at an end cap, for example, and you see 30 of this calculator, for example, and you're sitting there going, man, how fast could I ship this in and capitalize on this, because there's only 5 people that have this in the marketplace right now. But by the time I ship it in, because I'm looking at it on an end cap and Target, and there are a bunch of Targets in the nation, where else is this happening? I mean, your mind starts thinking those kind of things. So when you deal with commons, those are the kind of the things you have to deal with. It's like competition comes in, screws commons up, and commons become commons. So I always liked on FBA, even with FBAs, to like deal with as far from common as you could, with low rank and things like that. So I think there's plenty of cheese for everyone, but I think that also lands with an abundance based mindset. And I live my life all the way that way all the time. So I think if people play the other side, which is scarcity, like I got to hoard, who knows? I think that's almost like a tax in your life as you just live. I think it's like a ball and a chain, and that's just my personal opinion, right? I'm not knocking on anything, but I think it's a ball and a chain to have a, like, not pessimistic, but not even sarcastic, but just this scarcity mindset, where there's not enough for everybody. Maybe I should just, maybe I should take all this right now. I'm not going to tell anybody any secrets. I'm the opposite. you know, I'll stop and give you time. Like if I see you in a thrift store or at a garage sale, and we'll talk, and if you have questions about certain things, I don't sit there and go, oh my God, I'm creating competition, I shouldn't tell them secrets. I'm just like, I want everyone to be happy and survive. So if that makes sense. Okay. So we got some more questions coming in. We'll switch to fitness here in a second. I was in the green room many years ago with you. Whatever happened to it? Oh, cool. What's up, Taught to Profit? Thank you, by the way, for being in the green room many years ago. Did you ever come to the meetups? Let me know. Because as I look at your handle, your YouTube handle, I don't know the name behind the handle, but anyway, I'll just ask you a pretty easy question, which is, did you ever come to the meetups? The meetups were like super epic. So I'll answer your question. Many years ago, so we disbanded Green Room in 2019, I want to say. Not disbanded, but we made the announcement, I think in early 2019, that it was going to end like a year later or something like that. And we couldn't have made the timing more perfect, because then, China virus came in the air, and that really messed things up. And I think it made a lot of people scramble and stuff like that. So we were never timed with COVID by any means, but I remember that it kind of coincided with the end of the green room, was like this weird thing's kind of in the air. And yeah, it was just odd. So that's what happened to it, is that the admin team, great friends still to this day, and we keep in touch. The admin team, we just had different interests, right? And competition came in too. So when the green room was at its peak, it wasn't the only Facebook reselling group out there, but it was one of the only paid Facebook reselling groups out there. And I'm always proud of it to this day, because most businesses, especially digital based businesses, where your business partners are not in the same state or the same city as you. Remember, I had some admins that were northeast part of the country, Florida. Um, One was in San Jose. So, like, statistically, a digital business is never supposed to last like more than a year. Physical business probably about the same. So the green room lasted about 5 to 6 at peak, which was incredible. We have a super chat right here from Devil Dog Picker, 4.99. Brother, thank you so much. I love it. I love it. Anyway, that's your first super on a live stream. My God, I feel honored that you put it here on the Bonafide Hustler channel. People just sharing the cheddar. Look at that, 4.99. That will buy me a Doppio, right? Actually, I bought a coffee this morning, a large chai with oat milk. All right, you following me? A large chai with oat milk. So it was a 16-ounce cup. I was in South Austin at a coffee shop that I really enjoy. And I think I even got a discount on this thing, okay? And it was still like $6.50. So like, oh my Lord. But I love that coffee shop. I love supporting it. And to be honest, I tell a lot of people about it. I put it on my story a lot. And a lot of people go there. And the coffee shop knows about this. It's a very popular coffee shop in town. It's a humongous coffee shop. It drives so much business. It's unbelievable. And it's not just a coffee shop. It's like outdoor seating area. It's like the whole thing. Anyway, oftentimes they don't charge me when I come in there. So, paying once every now and then, which is literally like one out of what seems to be 6 or 10 times, I'm okay paying it, right? I'm okay paying it regardless, but like a lot of times they don't charge me because I'm super cool with them. Anyway, so Devil Dog Picker says, I love the content and glad to see more of your garage sale content. Yeah, I should have filmed this morning, but I'm telling you, these garage sales are not that great yet, but I'm gearing up for a good spring, and I can't wait this is gonna be the first spring where I'm actually gonna be wearing the GoPro and everything like that. So we're gonna go in the garage sales together and have a lot of fun. It's the GoPro. I'll tell you right now, someone tell me a camera that doesn't overheat, okay? Because the GoPro always has issues, always. And I have all these different cards, class 10, like, fast reading, writing, whatever. I have so many different cards. And it doesn't matter what GoPro it is. I'm running with a 7 right now. GoPros just have issues. I swear. Should I switch to DJI or the Osmo or something? I'm like, it's so frustrating because I'll be 10 garage sales into my maybe 20 garage sale day, and then all of a sudden it's like switch this battery, and then it won't turn off when I say GoPro turn off. It's kind of crazy. Now, obviously these are first world problems, and I should be thankful that I even have a vehicle to drive around, and flip a light switch and electricity comes on and there's clean water in my house. I should be grateful, and I am. But that said, some of these things are frustrating as hell. It's like, how I just want to make good content, right? And I don't want when my flow gets interrupted, it really jacks with my brain a little bit. So, anyway, I'm just talking out loud. On a content creation standpoint, trust me, there are a lot of moving pieces, and one of the very first moving pieces is the GoPro, right? Because it's capturing live like not live, but like in person. Like here I am, and we're picking. So I'm going to be doing a lot more longer videos too, which kind of goes against my whole philosophy. But I think I'm going to put some longer videos because I want to see what I'm missing, right? And I want to see in comments like, "Oh, Bonafide, you totally passed up this, da da da," And so that happens in some of these videos where I put the GoPro footage up. Some people will be like, "I can't believe you didn't pop on that." So anyway, there are going to be some 30-minute videos coming out probably within the next month because garage sale season is about to be boom up there. So that's weird. Oh, I know what that is. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So let's go into the feed and let me clear the comments. Oh man, there's so many good things. Remember, we can ask fitness questions. This is a Bonafide Muscler live show 1. Okay. So the first one, and I think I'm going to keep this one on, to be honest with you. Sometimes I delete these live shows, but I'm going to keep this one on. So we saw some cool thrifted finds. We talked about some garage sale stuff, and we can flip fitness and garage sale questions or whatever you want to do, but we're going to keep it on thrifting or fitness. Okay. So we're not going to talk about, and fitness to me is like mindset and all that, but we're not going to talk about financial crap. We're not going to talk about, you know, I mean, we can talk about dreams and aspirations if you want to, but we're going to talk about those kind of things, fitness and thrifting. All right. So help me stay on point. Okay. So I'm going to go rapid fire to these questions real quick. Okay. Nostalgia picker. I started back in the gym 3 weeks ago. Congratulations, dude. That's amazing. It's great to rediscipline myself. 8-year full-time reseller here. So here's something real quick. So you're an 8-year full-time reseller. One of the ways to unlock your brain to do better is obviously like in the happier states that if you can achieve happier states or more states of elation, then you're gonna think more clear and you're gonna work through problems better, whatever. The second you have depressive thoughts and whatever, everything chemicals, everything shifts in your body, and your body in a weird way almost prepares itself to die, right? So this is the reason why, like when you're really depressed, you just want to sit in a chair. You don't want to move. Um, so going back to this one comment right here, 8-year full-time reseller here, just started back in the gym 3 weeks ago. It feels great to rediscipline yourself. You should protect this. Okay. So one of the things that I want to really tell the reselling audience is, from my experience, there just seems to be a lack, okay, a lack of focus on physical fitness. And this is a huge mistake, a humongous mistake. There's a lot of that focus on, chasing cheddar and family, and I get it. Okay. I understand that those things are important. But a lot of times the money is super important only because liabilities got out of control, and you have loans or whatever. So if we can kind of live more lean, right, you can start to think more clear. So that's like step number one. If you want to really think more clear, start living more lean. Like see what you can do without, get your life down to like real basic stuff and start working out. It's really important. As you work out, hormones are secreted in your body, makes you feel super good. You look in the mirror when you're passing by it, and all of a sudden your belly's starting to go away. You might even have a little crevice down here, and maybe some hash marks and some six pack, this and that. If you're a dude, if you're a girl and or a lady and you're out there and you are, chasing fitness, you might notice that you pass by the mirror and your booty looks good, right? Or when you are pulling the groceries from the car, all of a sudden you can take 8 bags of groceries in the house on one trip, and you can still close the hood and everything. You can do all kinds of stuff that you ordinarily weren't able to do because now you're stronger, for example, right? And you're more confident. Skin glows. You feel more happy. People are asking you, "What are you on? What kind of secret stuff are you on?" And you're like, "I'm not on anything secret. I'm just going to the gym." Right? I'm going to classes. I'm going to F45 and doing Orange Theory. I'm just taking care of my body. Because at the end of the day, we have one body. We just have one. That's it. So, like when you spend all your money, for example, you can go bankrupt, right? You can start over, kind of like when you screw your body up. Yeah, it's really hard to start over if you think about it. You can be on a donor list or whatever, but at the end of the day, when we screw our bodies up, which is typically from not moving enough, and it's just improper nutrition, to be honest with you. So not moving enough, improper nutrition, and the third thing would be not putting enough stress on the actual muscles. So people are like, "Oh, I'm getting fit, right? I'm just walking a bunch." That's not that fit. To be honest with you, it's not putting stress on the muscles. It's a little bit of fitness, but it's like not a whole lot. You got to do more than that. So congratulations to Nostalgia Picker. Now, going back to that whole walking thing, if you're walking and that's the start of your fitness journey, I'm all for it. But if you're 10 years down the road and you're like, "This is how I'm staying fit, I'm doing 3 miles a day or 4 miles a day or whatever," and you are capable of lifting and you're capable of, you know, other things, you should be doing those other things. You should be. Taught to profit. Okay, so Jan P says, "What are your thoughts on live selling?" I might actually try it one day. So I don't know because I don't do it, but I might try it one day. Frank says, "Your abundance mindset is very important." Absolutely. I don't even know how to live another way because abundance mindset has always been my way. And we have some more questions. Am I going to do the push-ups nonstop? Probably not today. Only because I just don't really want to work out on Saturdays or Sundays. It's just not my thing. But I'm also wondering why it's so important that I have to do push-ups nonstop. I have to figure out when a good time to do it. I'm not like a huge fan of push-ups. They're great for overall fitness. I understand. I've done plenty of years doing push-ups, but I'm just trying to build crazy big aesthetic, things and still be really fast on my mountain bike and be able to skateboard and play pickleball and all kind of stuff. So, um, push-ups are great for overall fitness, but for what I'm trying to build, they I don't have an infinite amount of calories to burn. You know what I'm saying? So like push-ups would be kind of later down my list, more towards when I'm getting super lean or something like that. I would start doing more of those. Talk to Profit. I never went to the meetups for the green room. I made a lot of friends from the group. It was a blessing. Thank you so much. The green room gets a lot of gets a lot of positive stuff here in the feed. Sometimes in the Reddit feeds, people knock on it. Don't know why, but yeah, there were a lot of great friends in the group. I mean, so many people in that group keep in touch today. So many people. So anyway, and then we have Devil Dogs Pickers, 4.99 super chat. So thank you so much, and I am glad that you love my content. That's really cool. I got approached yesterday, by the way, in a thrift store by someone who had just started watching my channel for 3 weeks. So it was really cool. Came up to me in the Savers, and he was like, "Oh my God, I just saw your videos like 3 weeks ago. I found out your channel, and I'm visiting from I think it was Houston." And he's thrifting around, I think visiting family. And he's like, I was wondering if I would run into you. And here you are. And so he got to meet Thrifty Z, myself, and it was just really neat. We talked about thrifting for like 10 minutes. Really nice guy. But that's, super fun. Okay. I like to like it. Like, come on, hit that like. Oh, okay. I like to like it, like it. Come on, hit that like. That's right, Bobby. You gotta hit that like button. We got a lot of likes in here, but I really do feel as I ain't gonna lie, but I think when people see the Bonafide Muscler and like thrifting meets lifting, I mean, I think when they see that meets lifting, they're like, I don't want to, because that's fine. You have to start confronting your issues head on, and some of those things you're gonna learn in the show are you're gonna make you think a little bit. And so I get it. Some people might see the lifting thing and be like, screw this guy, and that's fine. I like to use my audience for good, for a good purpose. And so I've met a lot of resellers over the past 11 years that the channel's been up, maybe 12 years by now. Met a lot. I mean, a ton. And I just know that almost every single time they're always asking me about fitness questions all the time. They ask me about reselling stuff too, but there are a lot of fitness questions, a ton of them. So yeah, these shows are kind of made for the reselling audience. When I go on my Bod Damn channel and I do fitness lives on that's going to be super targeted fitness advice, probably mostly directed to like males, I guess, that want to get an aesthetic physique, but and they want to start moving with less joint pain, and they want to start feeling good about themselves and get their alpha back and all that. We'll see. But I do work with females too. But anyway, okay, Devil Dog Picker says, hold on real quick, let me make sure. Okay, my experience with the GoPro, this is Devil Dog saying, my experience with the GoPro is changing out the battery when I shoot grass. I swear, I hate changing out the battery on the GoPros. They just never last that long. It's crazy. On all the, I even had the very first GoPro Hero ever, and it was actually a wrist one, right? I'm not even kidding. It's this wrist one that goes on your wrist. It's just called a Hero. It's not even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. They're up to 12 now. It's just called the Hero, and it goes on your wrist, and it has this little flip thing. And when you're surfing, you can flip it up and you can like catch a wave and like, I still have that GoPro in my house somewhere. So I've had that one. I've had the 3, the 4, and I have the 7 right now. And I'm thinking about going to the 11 or 12, whatever the newest one is. But I just want to make sure that that's not going to have the same issues, because it's kind of annoying, honestly, being a content creator and having these. You're spending, $300 to $500 on these things, and then they overheat or they give you issues. And it's just super annoying. Like, I just want to capture content, with the wide POV, and I want to be able to bring it to my audience. Like, how hard is that? Frank says, flow or flow state. I've been working on flow for a couple years. It's amazing, man. You're really in this. I talk about flow or flow state in the new weight loss guide. Okay, so here's where the plug comes in. I'm going to plug something. I don't know if I'm going to end this sale tonight or tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure, but in the chat, I just put the link to the new weight loss guide. So if you're about losing weight, I'm going to break it to you right now. It's not going to come to diet. It's not going to come down to workout or any one thing. It's going to come from a big view of a lot of things. So for the people that have purchased the guide, let me know what you think about it if you're in the feed right now. But it is 94 pages. But when we take out some of the filler slides, maybe 85 or so, maybe 84 slides, it's a pretty big guide. So check it out if you're interested in losing weight and understanding what it takes, right? What it takes. Because if I look for my before and afters, like there's no befores. My before it was always good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I hate to say it that way. I don't have this like completely disheveled, overweight Bonafide to show you. I just don't. I've always taken care of myself, and I've always been active. And that's just, I mean, I have no befores. You know what I'm saying? It's just a bunch of afters. So, um, what do I do with that? Well, it's like I still help people, and I have before and afters from other people. But anyway, the guide's going to show you how to, really kind of understand how to, in a sustainable fashion, how to not melt. I hate using that word because that's so accelerated sounding, right? But how to take weight off your body, right? And so that guide right there is on a heavy discount right now on launch week. Like I said, I might cancel it out tonight, and that'll go back to full price. Or I don't know yet. I haven't really decided. So go check it out if you're interested in losing weight. It's literally like a third of a personal training session at a gym, right? Personal training session at a gym's like 65 to like $85 now. So that would be like one third of it is this guide. I'm looking at it over here. I don't know about you guys, but go check it out, make a decision. I do think that if you want to get a good view of like what it really takes in a sustainable fashion to stay in shape, I tried to give you the entire solution in this guide right here. Okay. Um, so more, I'm going over here. I'm going to look at actually all the comments on my screen. That's over here. So Frank is talking about flow and flow state. That's actually in the guide. It's only one page, but it's in the guide. So flow state actually might be 2 pages, but flow state's a very, very, very important thing. Like I chase it a lot actually, and there's only so many ways you can get to it, and the guide talks about it. But flow state is basically what is commonly referred to as pure happiness, right? So not everybody can achieve flow states, which is interesting. It's only achievable by certain things, right? So those certain things, I'll give you some examples. Playing chess, sometimes coding can get there. Working on really big projects that you have a direct like influence on, right? For me, I get in flow states when I build my guides because I'm like, oh my God, this is going to help so many people. And I'm sitting there painlessly at coffee shops, just like making these things. And before I know it, this term that you see all over flow state research called time dilation is occurring. And what that means is, well, first of all, the science behind flow states are, I think it's that the alpha and the theta brain waves get peaked during flow. And there's not many things that can peak alpha theta brainwaves at the same time. But when people are in alpha theta at the same time, they don't have a need for food, water, shelter, sex, any of that. They're just absorbed in this one thing. So you'll commonly find flow state in like chess players, coders, people with big projects, mountain bikers, downhill mountain bikers, snowboarding, surfing, windsurfing, extreme sports. That's where you're going to find flow the most. Okay. Now, an, kind of like a tease of flow would be runner's high, for example. That's kind of like a giant endorphin rush, blah, blah, blah. But you can start to time dilate a little bit on a really long run. But this is one of the reasons why, it feels like adults that mountain bike, for example, is the primary reason why I mountain bike because it's so fun, right? Even by myself or with friends, it's so fun that you don't realize how much time is passing by. There have been times that I've been surfing in the California surf, and the longest I've ever been in the water, like without coming back to the shore, just catching waves and waves and waves over and over and over, has been 7 hours. I'm not even kidding. So I 100% know about flow state. I've experienced it when I was young, all the way up until now. Like I know how to get into it and everything, but it is one of the most elusive things ever out there. And a lot of people are like, oh, I do yoga, I feel good, flow state. You're like, that's not exactly it scientifically by any means. Or I get into the flow state when I do breathing exercises, and it's like, no, not really. Yeah, flow state is super, super important. Now, people are starting to like more flow into entrepreneur kind of stuff, and they're saying to get into flow, you can start taking certain things, and you can take this modafinil, for example, or you can take some nicotine, sublingual nicotine, non-tobacco, of course, And you can get into flow a little bit that way, which that does help concentration to some extent. Definitely unlocks the brain's potential a little bit more. But remember, true flow is intense state of bliss and happiness where you're not thinking about water, food, sex, shelter, things like that. All right. But do your own research on Google. You'll see what I'm talking about, or go read some stuff about it, and you'll understand, like, oh, okay, this is why people can like go to a resort, for example, like Breckenridge, and just board all day long, without taking any breaks and just keep pounding, pounding, pounding the powder. Um, until you've done it, it's very hard to explain it. In fact, I'll leave you with this when we talk about flow state. There was a popular saying that Billabong back in the early 90s put on all their clothing. Actually, probably even in the early 80s. But anyway, they put this saying that said, and it was on most of their shirts. It said, "Only a surfer knows the feeling," is what it said, right? And I do believe that that is entirely true. But not only a surfer, like only a surfer or extreme sports people, mountain bikers, like that kind of stuff will know the feeling, right? So they're onto something. They're basically describing flow. Understand? Okay. Um, so Frank asked, how did I learn about flow? I learned about it when I was younger, but I didn't know it was flow at the time. I just was in flow, right? And I did many, many, many summers on the Cali coastline at my parents' house. And I think there was one time where I went to the beach like 67 days in a row. And on each of the times that we were in the water, it must have been at minimum 2 to 4 hours, it seemed, right? But I remember a couple times it was like, one time it was 7, and then a couple other times it was 5. And the other times were like 3, 4s, and a bunch of 2s and stuff like that. Um, but that's when you know like something special is going on. And plus, when we're dealing with like surfing, for example, and you're, getting barreled in a wave or you're taking a wave, you have to understand that wave arguably has come from, you know, things that are hundreds of miles away or thousands of miles away, swells that have come and hit the coastline, and they come up against the sand or the whatever, and they can just come up against the shore, and that's what forms the wave. So it's really interesting, and like it's like a fingerprint, right? It's something very unique. It'll never occur again. I mean, waves occur all the time, but like that exact wave that you caught, that you read perfectly, and then you catch it, and then you come out of it, and you're not dead, and you haven't drowned. I think it's an incredible, incredible feeling. But if you think about it, like how unique it is, like a fingerprint, it's kind of like, whoa, that's pretty neat. So, um, more stuff about questions here. All right, we're seeming to go more into the fitness kind of realm here. Talk to Prophet says, have I ever tried the early fitness style of high reps, low weight? I have done pretty much every style of lifting with the exception of powerlifting, because powerlifting is a bunch of there's a lot of programming in powerlifting, right? And powerlifting has just never really excited me, but I know it's a big thing. I just have never really been excited about attaining the physique of a standard power lifter. Let's put it that way. So, but I've done every other fitness style of training. Like I've done 6 days, 7 days, like every single bro split possible, muscle split possible. I've done it all. High reps, low. Yeah. So I've done this kind of stuff. And the thing about high reps, low weight, I kind of implement that a lot on my Fridays right now. So I do a full body Friday. So I do Monday chest and back, but reps that are usually in the 6 to 8 range. I do Tuesday legs. I do shoulders and arms on Wednesday, skip Thursday, and then Friday I do a high rep, low weight, high concentration type full body workout. That's even in the guide too. So go check out that guide if you want to. But there is actual a sample workout plan that's in there that you can actually execute and mess with. So yeah, I've tried it, and I think I wouldn't want to do it all the time, because to build like good width and to build size, I do think you need to you have to put your body through a significant amount of calculated stress. Let's put it that way. Right. Okay. So first of all, I'm 45 years old. Okay. I'm all natural. I don't take any steroids or black market goods or SARMs or any of that kind of stuff. I don't take any of that. Now I take natural T boosting things. Like I take Tonkat Ali. I was taking Fedosia aggressives, but did more research and more research and more research, and I got off of it. I take Tonkat Ali, ashwagandha, DHEA, L-arginine, things like that. But you can get that anywhere. So Yeah, I think the high reps, low weight, I wouldn't want to do it all week long, you know? I'll definitely do it on a deload week, for example, but not all the time. I like to actually stress my body out, and I think as you get older, you really wanna know when to go calculated stress. Frank says physical fitness is so important as well. Yeah, it's literally over half my life. I mean, honestly, I deal with people with it. I have clients, and yeah, physical fitness is just so important. I'll rank it above money all day long. I just do. Um, Nostalgia picker lifting 4 days a week. Good. Resting 3. Perfect. That's exactly what the plan I'm on. Eating for fuel, and it's made a difference in my overall mind state. Good. Good for you. You should check out the guide, dude. I mean, like you sound like you're turning big page right there, but the guide will really help you out because there's a lot more hacks in there. I tried to give as much as I could for the price point that it was going to be at, because the higher the price point, the more the significantly more work would have to put into it, right? And I think those I'm reserving those price points for bigger things, and so I wanted to give something that was easy that a reseller could crack into and still get a lot out of it, like a lot go, "Oh my god, like that's what he's doing." Like, holy crap, you know? So and I am I want to applaud you for this one statement saying eating for fuel, and that's so important because a lot of people eat for looking a certain way and they don't eat for fuel. And you have to eat for fuel. It's so important. Now, if you want to look a certain way, there is a strategy to eat that too. But that guy teaches you stuff like that. Um, Okay, next question. Let's go. I'm going to actually go into some more questions, and there are going to be some coming in, right? Because as soon as I say this, a little bit of a time delay on YouTube, and then a question will come through. I'm going to take a sip of water from my non-Stanley right here. All right, this is not a Stanley. This is a Yeti. I'm not playing the game like everyone else is. This thing is just better. I think it's a 40 tumbler, just so you know. Might be a 42. But anyway, yeah. Oh, that water's so good. By the way, that's copper water in there. That's right. That's water that's been sitting in a copper vessel for one day, maybe two. One day actually. So it's not only like super antibacterial, it's purified. It's already purified through the Berkey filter. Then it goes into the copper vessel, and then the copper vessel just oh my god, it's like the best water ever. So Frank says you can train the mind to achieve flow in everything you do. That's what I've been working on. Yeah. So I believe that to an extent. If you watch YouTube and you look at a bunch of podcasts and stuff, people are starting to say like you can get flow in this, and basically what it means is I'm gonna take a stab at this, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that there's only it's kind of an abuse to the word flow because if we're gonna call that flow, then whatever I'm talking about with the surfing and whatever, that's something else. Then. Um, so this is the reason why I think flow should be reserved for those things. And then the other things that people are trying to roll into flow, like large bouts of concentration for 2 to 4 hours at a time in front of your laptop screen. I don't think anybody should be doing that, to be honest with you. First of all, if you can do it, I mean, props to you. But the long term effects of things like that, especially like myopia, for example, text to next syndrome, which doesn't mean you have to even be texting. You have to be just like this, hunched over with a laptop. I just don't think that's a great idea. I think it's really good to take strategic breaks every hour. I think it's important to make your eyes gaze, hour on the screen, eyes have to gaze far for 10 minutes. Back to your screen for an hour, go outside for 10 minutes and do some jumping jacks, do a little bit of skateboarding, whatever, come back to your computer. I think that's the way it should be. But um, large bouts of concentration, I've done them. Clearly, I have to get into some longer ones than normal when I have to build some of these guides. And that would just be large bouts of concentration. I personally wouldn't label it as flow, but for me to get to those states, I usually have to have caffeine and every now and then maybe sublingual nicotine, maybe, right? And I know people are gonna be like, what did he say? Like nicotine? Do your research, but you'll see. Sublingual nicotine, I'm not talking about tobacco, but sublingual nicotine literally opens up your brain. It does. So strategic uses of that. And yeah, then you can get into concentration bouts that are about an hour and a half or so like that. But even then, wherever I am, coffee shop, whatever, hour and a half, sometimes I'll put a timer. That timer goes off. Like I have to look around for like 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm not talking about I can get on my phone now and all that because I don't want to sit there and be 1 foot away from my laptop and then be like, oh, it's break time. Cool. Pull out my phone. Now I'm 1 foot away from my phone. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about literally getting up, walking around, doing things, being in sunlight, those kind of things. Um, GEIS 25 says, wow, good call on nicotine. I believe it's an essential in moderation to unlocking another level. It really is. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Ken this 15 says there's a ton of good information in the guide. Thank you, Ken this 15. Much love, my friend. So yeah, going back to Frank's thing, you can train the mind to achieve flow in everything. If you go on YouTube, there are going to be so many things saying like unlock your concentration, unlock your potential, reduce procrastination. Like all this is to get more ROI on the units of time you put in, because there's a lot of distraction in the world. So this is the only reason those things are really existing, because the rate of distraction has gone like this, right? And so they're procrastinating more, they're distracted more. And so it's actually an art, if you think about it, to concentrate for long periods of time. Or even an hour. It's an art, to be honest with you. Try concentrating on an hour for one thing, like just doing one thing. And this is the reason why I think flow should be reserved for those other activities and everything like that, because that's just a whole level of something else. This is involving life and death kind of scenarios. And in most of what flow really is, which is extreme sports, it's truly a life and death kind of scenario, because at any given moment, something can go wrong and you can be in a very catastrophic situation. How do I know? Because I've come close to dying 5 times in my life. Okay. And 4 of those times have been due to being so happy I'm in the flow state, but something went wrong. Right. The other time was just an asthma attack that I had when I was around 19 or 20 years old. I just remembered the jeans I was wearing, the shirt I was wearing. I just, took an inhaler that didn't work at my parents' bathroom in California. And then I was crumpled on the ground and my heart was beating real fast. It was like an asthma attack. So I remember that was really, really, really terrifying. And I had to start asking myself, like, what do I really want? Like, I need to be healthy. I was healthy, but for some reason, there must have been something in the air or something triggered it. And then I not collapsed, but I was just really on the ground. I couldn't move. And then I told myself, if I don't, regulate my breaths, I'm pretty much going to die here. And so I got out of that, but that took a while. Anyway, and my parents never knew about it. So, and then the other times have been surfing, mountain biking. So yeah, you know, to get the greatest reward, you have to be willing to pay, like, it's a Point Break reference. You got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. So more questions, and this is another thing I'm going to get more into this year too. Is I'm going to get back into really riding mountain bikes a lot, like an absurd amount this year. I realized that there's a real positive correlation in my physique to riding 5 times a week, let's say, right? Maybe even 7 times a week, but riding a lot in the way my physique looks. Um, and I think it does have to do with more flow, and flow is more happiness, reduced amounts of cortisol in my body, or the cortisol production might be very little to none. And so my body just looks really lean and, good a lot. So I know that that's that. And I've experimented with other things. I'm like hit workouts and riding around the neighborhood, for example, skateboarding, playing pickleball. And it's like my physique is the best when I'm doing usually more risky activities. So it's kind of weird. All right. Any more questions? Let me know. We're coming close to the hour mark, and there are no dumb questions. I want to try to stick around for like 10 more minutes. And if you have a question that's kind of on your head and you want to pick someone's brain that, has been on YouTube, and we do the whole thrifting thing, and we're going to do a couple of these Bonafide muscular things, maybe once a week. We'll see. Then ask me, I got like 10 bikes back here, so it's not like I don't talk about things I don't know about. I literally ride all the time, but I think this year I want to ride like all the time, all the time. We're going to do it the right way, back to normal again. It's just been really bad weather too. But today, for example, I rode to the post office and back with a lot of packages. But those weren't my packages. They were for the company I work for. But yeah, I went to the post office and back, had, little down jacket on, pure sunlight, felt great. I did about 7 miles, and then I came home, ate for 30 minutes, and then I played pickleball for like an hour and a half with my girlfriend. So pretty good day, you know. And the pickleball I did shirts off too. It was kind of cold, but shirts off, getting all that sun, amazing. GEIS 25 recently started Peloton because of the winter weather. Highly recommend to those who are limited by weather. Good. And if you're limited by weather, because I don't like deal with limit. Our limits here are 100-degree, 105-degree days, right? It's kind of a limit if you think about it, but it's not as catastrophic as potentially getting frostbite or something like that. Obviously, there's heat stroke. I've almost had a heat stroke here and there, but that's usually electrolyte imbalances. But the kind of weather here that we deal with, everyone knows about Texas summers. I mean, they're brutally hot, and we're not talking about the North Texas or anything like that. I'm talking anything Dallas and below. It's pretty hot. But yeah, not uncommon to have 100-degree days for 3 months out of the year. But you just get kind of smart about it. You don't sometimes ride at peak times, but even then, I was doing it with my ex-wife, for example. We would ride at 2:30 in the day, as long as the trail was a shaded trail. Then it was okay, because under the shade, I mean, under the trees, it's 10 degrees cooler in there. You got to plan out your water a little bit more and your carbohydrates and all that kind of stuff, but it's not the end of the world. So I would say that if you have the opportunity and if you have the mindset to go outside in bad weather, like when it's bad out here and it rains a whole bunch, for example, I'll put a raincoat on and I'll ride. I really don't like to do inside cardio personally, but I realize that if some people are in really bad weather situations or it's way too cold to go outside, then a Peloton might be the best option. And quite honestly, just moving around is a really good thing to do. I would say when you can, join a gym, as long as it's okay to drive to there, because the gym is going to help you get into more pro-social type things, which will increase your happiness. Human beings are supposed to be in groups, and have friends and all that kind of stuff. Plus, when you get around people that are sweating it out in kind of painful situations like you, during a class, for example, I mean, everyone gets everyone through a tough situation. Um, if you're at the house, you rely on your own discipline, and sometimes when we get pushed to the limit, we're at our comfort zone in our house, we kind of go, all right, I'm just going to kind of tap out a little bit for a little bit. So it's just one of those things to think about. I do preach, if you cannot get to a gym, yes, build a home gym, right? I built this for YouTube though, but build a home gym. And I still work out in it every now and then. I worked out in it today, actually. But a real gym is really important. In fact, when I have my incubator thing or my accelerator program, it's going to be one of the lead requirements to even get into the program is going to be like, you have to have a gym membership, or snap me a picture of your house with a bunch of dope crap in it. And I'll be like, cool, greenlit, you can come into the program, because a lot of these lifts that are going to be on the program are going to have to be done in a gym atmosphere, So, okay. So, question, we got to switch to thrifting on this question. Nostalgia Picker says, when you first begin flipping, what was your first big score that opened your eyes to the possibilities? I mean, my very first flip made me about $60 cash. Was that big? I don't know if that was big at the time, because I was making about 100K, about 20 years ago, 22 years ago. Oh, my salary was getting close to 100K already. So, but $60 felt like the world. It just felt great, 100K is interesting in corporate America, because you get it, you get pieces every 2 weeks in paychecks kind of thing. But then there were other perks and things, and you add it all together, you're like, yeah, it's pretty much 100K, like anywhere, or maybe more. And that felt good, but it doesn't solve much, especially in Austin, Texas. So, yeah. And it's just one of those interesting kind of things that I enjoyed. That $60 flip on that bike, it made me really open. It made me want to do it again, which I did. So, began. Off topic here, what does RVCA mean? Just curious. Most people call it RUCA. It's basically an artist network. So it's a lot of really cool artists, and this is just like their network, and there's a clothing brand behind it, and they make really cool clothes. But a lot of it is more Southern Cal kind of styled clothing. So our time is out. This is live. Yeah. So this is live. You can ask a question. Please go for it. Let me type in one last time. If you're interested in that weight loss guide, when the actual and get the actual great discount on it, then hit this right there. It's in the feed. Yeah. So, oh yeah, and here's another thing. So now we're going to switch to thrifting real quick. So I got news yesterday. This just blew my mind. I was sitting in my SUV. Phone call comes out. I pull up to the house, park the SUV, gone to the booth to pick up a chair that someone was asking for measurements for, and we were dropping in like this really cool antique chair. So we were dropping in an antique kind of love seat looking thing, and then we were picking up this MCM chair that has a better chance, I think, of just being in my house and selling from here. Okay, so that's why we were out, and we were thrifting a little bit too. That's why I showed you some of the thrift finds. Then I got this call from the antique mall. This is the craziest thing, because 2 weeks ago, or maybe last week, the Alvin Antique Mall in Houston, Texas, which is it's one of the biggest antique malls, right? It told the vendors like mid-February, like antique mall's done. So all the vendors in there with their inventory and their booths and everything like that, you know, it kind of sucks, you know. And I saw the statement on Facebook and everything. It was just really heartbreaking. But um, that was in Houston. So I got this phone call yesterday and it's the person in my antique mall that owns it, but he rents the space. Like the antique mall, he's renting that part of the building from the landlord, whatever. And he was like, it's with great sorrow, Chris, that I have to tell you this news, but this antique mall is shutting down. And I'm sitting here like, what? And then, my girlfriend is like, what? Because she's just rocking the booth right now. I mean, honestly, she's getting a sale like almost every other day. And it's crazy because, but here's the thing, right? Internally, I was like, that's nuts because this is something that I've known for like 11 years now, 10, 11 years. And it's been so fun and so amazing. And so the developing story is that they've been trying to go back and forth for 2 months, and that it's just the person that is the landlord wants to make another business out of that place. So don't know if the antique mall is going to relocate anywhere. I don't know what the head honcho guy is going to end up doing ultimately. But tomorrow, Thrifty Z and I are going to go look at another antique mall that's way farther. And I don't know. The last time I went to it, it wasn't as cool as what I was in, but times have changed and maybe it will be cool. And I'm going to go check it out. So, yeah. And oh, yeah, so here's another question might be wondering now is like, when is it shutting down? It's going to shut down in mid-May. Still got about 3.5 months and we'll be okay. So, but it was just bad news. But at the same time, I'm like, every good thing in this life, and everything in this life that's great has a heyday and it has a this. It's just like the green room, for example, right? It has this, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's not there anymore, And I find that the same thing is in relationships, family, enjoy the time that you have with the things that are working right, whether it be parents, family, children, girlfriend, spouse, boyfriend, anything, right? Just enjoy that time and really try to make the most of it and have the most fun with it, because nothing in this life is permanent, And I've just come to realize that with many different things in my life, that nothing is forever. And so when my girlfriend was like kind of upset about it, she was just so bummed because she's just doing well on the antique stuff. I was going, this is not a sign, but it's like another seed to put into the soil. And I got the watering can and I'm ready to water it. It's like that. So does it suck? I wouldn't say it sucks because I enjoyed every minute of the past 11 years with this mall. It's almost like I wasn't really even supposed to do it in the first place. I just got really into this American Pickers show and I was like, I want to do that. And my curiosity peaked real high. And so that's what put me in the antique mall. I write about it in Antique Booths to Bucks. I write about why I made it into an antique mall in the first place. And it was because of a show. And I wanted to do it because I was so enthralled by the history of things, and I just wanted to have my hands into that business, and that's what got me there. And then the guy was walking around. He was like, "Why don't you have a booth here then if you love it so much?" I'm like, "That's like actually a pretty good idea." So then I did it, and Booths to Bucks is that entire journey of my 11 years whittled down to like absolutely like how to do it. And I think the timing is so weird too, because I launched Boost to Bucks, then it's off the intro week deal, and then a week passes, and then it's like this news comes, and it's like, whoa. But then again, now if I go into another antique mall or another antique booth, the very first chapter of Booth to Bucks will show exactly the process I'm going to take to get there. So I'm not going to bend my rules or anything like that. And I've told my girlfriend, I was like, look, this next antique mall, if it doesn't, make the checklist on every single thing, I'm not doing it. I don't care. I'm just not doing it. So we're going to go check this thing out tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But it is just further by like every means possible. Like the antique mall I was in was 5 exits from my house, and it was in the middle of like the coolest thrifting part of town. This other one's different. This other one's further out. So, but I have high hopes for it because I've heard some good things about it. But the last time I went there 8 years ago, or whatever, I was like, my antique mall's better, because I was looking for a second booth, but maybe in another antique mall. So anyway, uh, yeah, it's a developing story. I mean, I just heard about it yesterday. So we'll see. WW Fufu. Does your guide cover quality ingredients? I'm mostly eating whole food, plant-based. Want to know if it'll work for me. So here's the thing. Does it call? I mean, look, when you talk about quality of ingredients, here, I'll just whittle it down really simple to you. When you're dealing with food, you really want to assemble your own meals and you want to assemble your own food because now you're in control of all the ingredients. When we go places, even like Whole Foods, for example, when we go into the food bar for, the hot food bar, you're like, oh, it's Whole Foods. Like it's got green on it. It's got a little sprout there. Like on the logo, like it's healthy, right? Whole Foods, pretty much unhealthy place, most of it. Trader Joe's, another place, vastly overrated, but predominantly very unhealthy as well. Don't know if you have natural grocers in your town or things like that. That's where you'd want to go, or farmers markets. And then there's certain onesie twosie kind of deals if you know about Walmart and you know about the market side butcher, grass-fed beef option. Like that's pretty good stuff. But you just have to be in the know. So does my guide cover quality ingredients? Quality ingredients are almost always going to be organic, grass-fed and finished. The terms wild, right? Non-GMO. You're going to want to find no sugars, no added preservatives. And so all that really means at the end of the day is just create your own stuff. So if you're mostly eating whole food plant-based, the thing with plant-based and the argument with plant-based is that you have to eat a little bit more than normal, or take supplementation of sorts just to get things like iron, for example. But you're gonna have to eat more things to get the RDA that you might be able to find in having an omnivore type diet, right? So I'm not going to preach if you should. I've been plant based. I've been keto, plant based. What else have I done? Paleo. I think where I am now with omnivore is probably the best when it comes to like nutrients. But I still, even then, like I still take supplements, which I talk about in the guide too. And I tell exactly the supplement that I buy, like the stack, the basic stack that I have, like that's in the guide. Um, so if you're eating mostly whole food, plant based, um, I think when you scour the internet, for example, you could find a lot of people doing it, right? You can watch the Game Changers, for example. You can watch the new thing on Netflix called Help Me Remember, but there's a new one that's funded by the same exact thing, premise. And it's interesting. It's like a twin experiment kind of thing. Um, the only way you're going to know if something works for you is you're going to have to like gauge your feeling and your body and all that kind of stuff when you're on the diet. So when I was on the keto diet, for example, I liked it. I lost the first 8 pounds or 10 pounds, like they say. I came off in like the first 3 weeks. It was mostly water weight. And then never quite really got into ketosis, but I realized like this diet is very limiting because now you can't have carbs and fruits. And it was just like, what? It kind of makes no sense at the end of the day. And you're like wiping out an entire food category, or genre. I'm like, that's just, good to try it out, which I did for like 6 or 8 months, but couldn't do it. So, but I still had great physical performance. I did feel like my hair was kind of thinning out a little bit. And same with vegan diet. I felt like my hair was thinning out a little bit too. And I was like, and then that whole, there's a lot of emphasis with soybeans, right, in the plant-based diets. And so with soybeans, which is one of the most dirty bean ever, or legume, should we say, something like that. it's just known to be contaminated in so many instances, even if it's organic. So I'm like, and there's tofu that there's tempeh. It's all kind of like the same stuff. I wasn't a huge fan, but I did it. I did it, and my markers at the time, I want to say my testosterone wasn't super high on that either, which wasn't good for me. Um, so I went more towards an omnivore diet, and I really bet on farmers market eggs from a farmer that I knew, and 100% grass fed and finished meats, wild caught salmon, things like that. I do not buy anything fresh, farm raised, none of that. I don't buy any of that stuff. Um, so I'm not knocking, okay? I'm not knocking your diet. I will say whatever diet you pick, make sure you're assembling your own meals and make sure you're getting the purest ingredients possible. There are certain fruits and vegetables that you do not have to buy organic because by the time you get past the rind or the skin or whatever, like the incidence of pesticides seeping in, for example, are like literally like it's very negligent. It's negligible. Negligible. Is that the word? Okay. So sometimes non-organic will save you money and it's something you can buy. But in most cases, with thin skin or rind fruits, for example, or things like kale, spinach, rainbow chard, those things you're going to want organic. And even then, you're going to want to wash the crap out of it. Culprits that have a lot of residue pesticides, rice. There's another one for you, beans. So you got to be careful with those kind of things. And you have to really, and the thing that makes food last longer are preservatives and salts and sugars, and these are the things that you can opt not to have. And you shouldn't really have a whole lot of this kind of stuff in your diet if you're preparing your own stuff. Then you can figure out what sauce you want to put on there. Does it have any of these bad oils in it? You can really control a lot of things, and control is what really leads to, I think, a good physique at the end of the day. But we're really eating for fuel. We're eating for mindset. We're eating for vibration. So, um, my guide will stress how important it is to eat as pure and organic as possible. And most people are like, I can't afford that. You actually can, trust me. You just have to figure out where the money's going to come from. You could. So you're going to have to cut other things out. But yeah, Ken, this 15 says it does cover quality ingredients. I mean, I like to downplay it sometimes, but the guide has a lot of great things. Brent Lott says Andrew Huberman talks about the benefits from nicotine for the brain. Yeah, I mean, nicotine gets a bad rap because everyone thinks like cigarettes. The second you think nicotine, you're thinking like cigarettes for the most part, and it gets a bad rap. But that's fine. I mean, at some point, I think this is another thing. I think when we have not scarcity mentality, but if we're quick to judge and not actually listen to research or like the science behind things and just hear like one word like nicotine. Kind of like when people hear the word moist, you're like, ooh, moist. But like moist can be anything, like moist brisket, moist, other things. But some people think of it in a very sexual way and they're like, ooh, that's a gross word, So when we're talking about nicotine, I think a lot of people quickly go like, boom, like that's bad. But they have no idea. Yeah, so Frank, regarding the antique mall, we're flip-flopping here. Another door will open. Absolutely. I'm not worried about it. Some people are be like, "Oh my god, like, are you not freaking out?" Like, I can't control it. Like, why would I freak out about it? What can I control? I can control looking at other antique malls, which I am doing tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. And that's how I live my life. I don't sit there and sulk about things like I can't do anything about. That's life. Pasquale says, "Do I meal prep and count calories?" This is great. This is a perfect question. That's actually in the guide too. I'll answer right here though. Do I meal prep? Yes and no. I am home more than I have access to the home more than the average person. So if you're working a 9 to 5, I would say meal prep 100%. When are you going to want to meal prep? Wednesdays and probably Sundays, to be honest. If you have a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, midweek, Wednesday, prep a little bit, and then Sunday, prep a little bit. Do I count calories? Hell no. I think when you count calories, this is like one of the worst things you can do. But it's important to know what calories are, like how many are in certain things, but not every calorie is equal. Just so you know, scientifically, it's proven too that not every calorie is equal. Yeah. because it all depends, well, largely on a lot of things, but like fiber, for example, like fiber isn't digested equally as a calorie or in caloric foods equally. They would, 70% would be digested um, in the large and small intestine, or no, large intestine, something like that. But then by the time it gets to the small intestine, it creates this like jelly kind of substance on the walls of the small intestine to where your body really doesn't like take the effect of like the other 30% of calories of whatever fruit we're talking about. It could be like an apple, pineapple, maybe something with a lot of fiber. So yeah, a little bit of apple, a date perhaps, prune, so yeah. What else we got here? Do I count calories? No, I don't. I don't count the calories because I think it goes against the whole like eat for fuel kind of thing, right? If you're counting calories and let's say you're hungry, so we have to ask ourselves like, why are we hungry, right? Are we hungry because we're dehydrated, right? Because that's 60% of the issue of why people just constantly eat because they're just really actually thirsty, right? So if you want to self check yourself and see if you're really hungry, just drink a glass of water and then ask yourself after like a minute or two, like, am I hungry? 'Cause sometimes just drinking water will stave that, the other thing is, what are we doing here? We were talking about the count calories thing. So I forget where my train of thought was going on this, but we definitely want to um, eat for fuel. Okay. And if you're hungry and you've expended calories and you've worked out and all that kind of stuff, then what I suggest doing is eating to feel full, but eating really good pure food that has adequate fiber in it and everything. So it signals your body, to, all right, we're full. When you eat things that don't have um, signaling type mechanisms built inside of them. Let's say you just start eating Pop Tarts after a workout, right? And you down a whey protein shake, and then you eat a Pop Tart, some graham crackers, and then you eat a couple strawberries. It might not ever end. You might just keep eating some tortilla chips. You just keep eating, 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 because none of these things are going to have the signaling things that you need, that your body needs to stop eating. This is the reason why snacking is just one of the biggest epidemics ever. Why people just gain so much weight is because snacking is usually done with items that are highly processed, right? And they're using terrible oils. And then they're completely geared for addiction and they have zero signaling benefits for your body. So your body will never want to stop eating, right? So that's another thing. Like the guy talks about incessant snacking as well. So I try to, when I am eating, usually I talk about this in the guide as well. I do a intermittent fasting schedule when I get in the most lean physique, which right now we are at 210 pounds, 210.5 as of yesterday. And I'm not feeling like the greatest, but it's also in a purposefully done bulk. I'm purposely bulking right now. And this is my physique as of right now. Some people be like, oh, it looks pretty good. And then for me, I'm kind of like, I know what my physique can look like. And so I'm just trying to overshoot some things so that way I can come in a little ahead of last summer. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. But I am eating for fuel purposes. After this podcast, after not podcast, but after this show, I'm going to go into my house and I'm going to have probably 10 ounces of chicken thighs, and it's organic as well. And we have organic pasta, and we have organic pesto on top, which is nice. And then I'm not putting any Parmesan on it, but I'm going to have a lot of it. I'll probably have about 1,000 to 1,500 calories worth of that. And that'll just be my meal and I'll feel great. And I might even put some grass-fed beef on top. We'll see. But I played pickleball today for an hour and a half. Like I've ridden my bike around a bunch. I haven't really eaten a lot today. So that's to be considered too, is that it's a non-workout day. So I'm kind of like, I don't really need to eat as much as a normal workout day. So that's where my mind kind of works. Am I counting calories? No, I kind of have a general idea of like what I'm intaking. Do I have meal prep? Well, I guess because we made so much of it a couple of days ago that there's leftovers. Is it a meal prep? I don't know. if you don't have time for meal prepping, just make really big meals so that way you have leftovers and you don't sit there and go, "Oh my god, like what am I eating now? I need variety." And then all of a sudden you're eating Chinese food, you know? So, Pascual Valos, do you ever have cheat days? I do. I talk about this in the guide. I think it's pop, you know, cheat days are a very slippery kind of slope for most people, especially people that don't have a good self-control, right? And people that have addictive personalities, mentalities, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, you can sit there and go like, okay, I'm not gonna. I have like 2 cheat meals a week, cool. And then all of a sudden, it's like you're eating Cheetos puffs here and there, snacking a couple here and there. I've seen people. I won't say who they are, but like I've seen people snack and then they just can't stop. You know, they'll snack a little bit here every time they're in the kitchen, a little snack here. All those things add up. You know, you really want your meals to be kind of purposely done. And that meals. Sorry, hold on real quick. Um, that was actually E Money. He was calling me. Um, so you want your meals to be purposely thought out, and you don't want to be snacking a whole bunch. You want to go, okay, here's my meal, and then purposely eat, and then after that, let me tell my brother I'm on a live show. He's actually, are you busy? On live show, on live show. Okay, where are we, guys? Okay, so yeah, just make sure that your meals count. A lot of people just don't make their meals count. Like I say this in the guide, but like snacking, for example, is a sign that you didn't think your meals out very well. It's true, right? If your meals are good and and you are just signaled like, okay, I'm full for 3 to 4 hours, that means you did your meal right because now you're not snacking and all you're doing is just drinking water and stuff, and that's fine. But that's typically when I get in my most lean states and I get in the best shape of my life. I'm doing 2.5s. And I talked about this on the last show, but I do a 12 to 8 eating window, and I do two really absurdly big meals and then a little micro snack. I call it a half, but whatever. It's not really a half, it's like a quarter. And that is perfectly good. That's a good enough to carry me through my next workout the next day, like all that kind of stuff. And it's great for my brain. It's great for my mitochondria. Like it's just really good. So it's something to think about. Do I ever have cheat days? Yeah, in the guide, I preach 5 to 10% cheat days, or 5 to 10% of your overall meals in a week. If you have an average of 3 meals a day, right? That's 21 meals in a week. Your cheat meals are going to be about two of them, and then a cheat meal, good rule of thumb. Talk about this in the guide too, and that is if your average meal, let's say, is like 500 or 600 calories, then a cheat meal would be 50% more than that. So that way you can kind of go to a restaurant and like have some good stuff and whatever. And if you're super, super active, I mean, if you're super active and you're disciplined and you're like not missing a beat, on when I check in with clients, for example, on a weekly basis, um, that's one of the most important things that we're doing is we're just checking off the list. Like, are we doing this? 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 And almost 80% of them still have work. It's hard to iron out that kind of stuff, but you have to get so disciplined and iron it out. And then from there, it's like I can go to Texas Roadhouse and throw down 2K calories if I wanted to, maybe even 3K, and I could do it. And guess what? When I leave, I'm going to feel like fine. I'm not going to sit there and like feel terrible about myself. Now, my body, for example, might reflect a certain way, like that night or the next morning, I might just like want to explode. I mean, who knows? Um, but I'll feel fine, you know. But I also surround all that with a lot of physical fitness and a lot of, riding my bike and um, getting off my screen every hour for about 10 minutes. I mean, I really practice this stuff. That way, it fits in perfectly to that cheat meal percentage of 10%. So, um, all right. So if you want to fight the cravings, like I said, make sure your meals are purposely built. You won't have cravings if you do your meals right. And fiber is going to be you not have like a ton of fiber, but you need adequate fiber. Um, our time is out. In 8 weeks of training in nutrition, my heart rate dropped over 12 points. Hell yeah, that's amazing. 125/78, amazing. 57, amazing. That's something to be really proud of, man. I had enough. When I got on the scale, I was 201 at 5'7", now 187 last time I weighed myself. Congratulations. And that's good. I think when you get on the scale and you've had enough, you're like, you know what, I can just do more. That's great. That's power. I think a lot of people are just so when I work with people, oftentimes what keeps them in a rut are their partner, or it can be family issues. Um, it could be things that addictions like weed, porn, video games. It could be things like that. But friends. So in order to get out of a rut, you have to really be brave. A lot of times you have to have an icon or a life coach or something. I swear. I'm not even trying to like pitch myself here at this point, but like this is the truth. You need to have someone there accountable almost on a daily basis, or at least access to a daily basis. When I do this incubator thing, or the accelerator program, hopefully mid-February, maybe the tail end of February, there's gonna be a lot of checking in. I'll be there like every day on the Facebook group or whatever, and I'll be checking in with people every effing day, because I check in with myself every effing day, every hour. I'm checking in with myself. Like, are we good? Are we on point? We're not messing anything up. Nope, haven't messed things up in decades, so we're good. We're good. Um, so you got to be honest with yourself. And so when when you had enough, it just means things have just gotten not out of your control, but you realize that you get one life, one body, you're powerful and you can do it, and hopefully you realize these kind of these moments before they get critical. Some people go, I've had enough, like I've had this bypass done, I've had enough, or I had, they have to sew my stomach and like, I've had enough. I'm going to finally lose weight. We should never wait for times like that. Never. We should never wait. We should never wait for our partners to tell us or give us permission. We should never wait for any of that. At the end of the day, feeling good and feeling high on just achievement and the way you look and the way you carry yourself and your mental state and the people around you are inspired, like this is the ultimate rich. Don't fool yourself. It's not money. It's going to be this. Every single time it's going to be that, because that is true wealth. At the end of the day, that's the most elusive thing that takes the most work. You can fall into money. I could win the lottery tomorrow and be that kind of rich, but you can't just fall into a great mental state, physical fitness state, inspiring others. You can't fall into it. It can't happen even within a month. You can get making little steps, but you just can't. I mean, to get there takes a long time. So I hope that you stay on that, right? Yeah. And Frank is saying a life coach or a mentor is really beneficial. I'm telling you right now, it's insane. So yeah. So this person says, our time is out. Says, I grew up with bodybuilding when I was young. Yeah. I didn't touch weights until when I was a junior in high school, right? It's for another day. It's a really funny story. But at the end of the day, my icons were Jean-Claude Van Damme, everyone on the Baywatch crew, let's see, Arnold Schwarzenegger, not so much Sylvester Stallone. This guy named Sasha Mitchell, right? He was on, I think, an ABC show called, help me remember, it's the one with Topanga and all that. Boy Meets World, maybe. I think he was on there. Sasha Mitchell was an ex-pro kickboxer or something like that. Who else did I really like back in the day? I was watching Thundercats too when I was younger. So like, you get around. So Lino's all jacked, and Panthero's all jacked. So these are my icons. This is what I had to work with. 90210, Melrose Place. Not that anyone was really big in those things, but this is how you learn about interpersonal communication, opposite sex, and like fashion and stuff like that. And so I think it's really important to have some of these mentors or someone that you can check in with. For me, when I was starting on my workout journey, I had some mentors, especially in college, but most of the very first initial part came from me going, I would like to have a physique like that, for example, what I was seeing on Baywatch. I was like, I want to have a physique like that. Now, if I check in my physique versus that physique back in the day, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm wildly past that. And I'm like, that's interesting to see that now, because not only have I surpassed that, but there was a time in my life where I didn't have it, and I wanted it so bad. And I thought it would equate to like girls and things. And while it did, it's more than that. So it's a lot more than that. You can apply that discipline to a lot of things. So yeah, I think a life coach and a mentor is really beneficial. If people are listening to this right now, and especially if you're a male, I'm going to open up that 8-week incubator. It's gonna be like an 8 or 10-week program. I was talking to this to some people the other day. I was like, I don't know whether to do it free or charge, 100, 200, $300 for the 8 week thing because I'm going to be in this thing all the time. And then I thought about it and I thought about it more and I was like, I have to charge something because if I don't, it's just going to, people aren't going to be accountable. They're just going to go in there and like, oh, I saw all the cool stuff. I'm like, great, can't do it, but I think when there's money tied to it, right? And maybe like the person that, I don't know, I haven't figured out if we're going to have a competition or person that loses the most body fat. I have no idea. We're going to figure something out. But I think it's going to have to be a charge kind of thing. Sorry. I think at the end of the day, people are more serious when you commit money, especially money or something of value. Like mail me your freaking car keys or something. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure this out. Um, our time is out is being super nice and saying, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. And I agree. Hit the thumbs up. We're gonna get this show hopefully to like 100 people at a time, 200 people, whatever. And if it only stays a small amount, that's totally cool. It's just a representative of the population that is interested in thrifting and fitness at the same time. Totally cool with me. But going back to what I'm saying about the incubator and the accelerator, when that thing opens up, I think I'm going to try to get only like 10 or 20 slots filled. So if you see if you see this thing come up, and I'll probably tease it for like a week in the email list and probably on Instagram and stories. But I'm going to tease this thing for a week, and it's probably, I don't know if it's going to be 100 buy-in or 200 buy-in, but it's going to be the cost of basically like one good physical personal training session at a gym. Okay. But you're going to get 8 weeks and I'll be there. I'll guide you and we'll have like everything, diet guide, like all this stuff. Although I'm not going to tell you what to eat, but we are going to be checking in with all kinds of stuff, workouts, meals. Everyone's going to get to know each other. It's going to be basically what I'm engineering is going to be the green room of fitness. It's going to be like really fun and it's going to be real tight. So it's going to be cool and I can't wait. I've done an accelerator group 3 years ago with like 6 people in it, and that was really fun. So now we're just going to do a little bit bigger, and it's a beta test. So it's not even the whole product. It's just going to be a beta test where people are going to get to see a product that I am working on, a coaching product or lifestyle product that I'm working on that's going to eventually be in the vicinity of $1,000 or $2,000 product. So just so everyone knows, I ain't going to lie about it. I'm not going to like sit there and go, oh, this thing is like $50. I'm not going to even play that game. When you want to change your life, you have to be willing to be, I'm looking for a certain caliber individual that is ready to change. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I want. And if some people need more nurturing, that's fine, but I still need that committed individual. Yeah. Will I stream it? There will be some live stuff in there. Yeah. There's going to be check-ins. What I see in my mind, there's going to be check-ins twice a week, right? And one of these check-ins is going to be purposely done on a Monday morning too. Before everyone's week starts, it's going to be purposely done. So we get on schedule. Everyone's good. And we are going to, we're going to get there. You'll see. So now we, yeah, it's going to be great. So it's going to be either Zoom or YouTube unlisted videos. I haven't figured that out yet, but we'll figure that out. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the show. I've given you guys a lot of my time. And I think I'm going to go eat that pasta. I'm going to go have some of that chicken, and it's going to be great. If you have more questions and things like that, you can comment this. I'm going to leave this show up, and I'll try to respond to them. But when there's another Bonafide Muscler episode, then if you have a question, just make sure you take it down and ask me live, and I'll give you my professional opinion on whatever, if I can answer that question accurately. If I have no business answering the question, I won't answer it, but there's a lot that I know about that I can help you out. But remember, I'm not a guy that's out there, claiming like, oh, get this physique and all you gotta do is this. It's hard, it's easy, but like, it's easy because I've been doing it so long, but it could be hard for the average person to crack into it and be like, whoa, there's a lot of moving pieces here, especially if you look at the guide, you're like, there's a lot of moving pieces in this guide. But at the end of the day, if it wasn't a value, then everyone would have it, right? It is of intense value because not many people have the answers. And so I do want to provide as many as I can, especially on free videos here on YouTube. So if you have a question, just keep it to yourself and then ask it on the next live show. And I'll see if I can answer it live and help you out. Outside of that, good luck in the next week. Get outside, get a great walk in, some biking, get some gym sessions in, and turn this thing around. It's really fun. It's really worth it. Trust me. I've been on the other side of it a couple times, where it feels like your life's about to crumble away and things aren't going right. And I've been on that side, but it hasn't been for very long. It's been for like weeks on end here and there. But it's an awful feeling. Like I would never wish that upon anybody. And I know some people live that every day. And I can tell you with the utmost confidence that it's better on the other side. Just do it right, take care of yourself, and be act with good morals, be a good person. But you're way stronger than you think. I'm telling you right now, I'm not talking about muscular strength or anything like that. I'm talking about mentally. You're way stronger than you might even think. It's just you have to get around the right people, individual groups, or whatever that'll unlock that. And a lot of people are very stuck, with the wrong people around them. So um, I'll try to help you out as much as I can. Come find me on the next live show. And if you enjoyed this show, even if you're watching it after the fact, please hit the like button and put a comment in there telling me how good this is. The more super badass comments we get, the more shows we get to get that I get to do here in the goddamn gym. And some of these shows are going to have actual live stuff. Like I'm going to do an ab workout for you or something like that. We're going to be doing real things. All right. So I'll see you guys later. And thank you everyone for joining, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right. Take it easy. Goodbye.